That's great. We're going to get to about halfway through their next one. Or it's actually the same fucking conversation. David Fuller just had mercy upon the world and cut it in two. And he waited like several months to put it out. So we tried to watch the beginning of this on
That's
stream.
because they were still having the conversation.
Right? No, they actually didn't leave. Yeah, they were still having the conversation months later. So we tried to watch this before on stream, and I think chat was just like, "What the fuck is this?" So we're gonna try this again, and I think this is Demons and the Machine. I think we didn't get to the part where Jonathan Peugeot talks about demons. So let's see if we get to that part.
Any society has ever been able to impose on anyone. And so those two things strangely coexist together. You can see it's a radicalization of a normal relationship, let's say, of something like freedom.
David's like busy blocking people on Twitter right now.
Organically manifests itself in a normal, not sometimes in a messy way and sometimes in a violent way, but would work itself out. Whereas now what we've got is, in order to access the metaverse and to have access to absolute freedom to do whatever you want, you have
what the fuck?
They're talking about the metaverse?
The metaverse does not give you freedom. It actually is a place where you are restricted in your activity.
Is that are they talking about the Facebook thing? What are they talking about?
I don't know. You don't want to go back to the beginning and find out, do you?
No. I'm going to assume that they're talking about the Facebook VR thing, and let's just, even if we're wrong, let's just assume it's that and not change our minds no matter what they say.
Right, because if somebody were to criticize us for doing that, they're not in the beauty. What was the word again? Fuck. I already forgot.
To this machine, you have to be completely submitted to it. You have to see, everything about you is going to be owned by this thing, and there's no way out of it. And so it's 1984 and Brave New World at the same time. Like, who thought that this?
I think he actually is talking about the metaverse, the Facebook thing.
It's like Second Life. He forgot Second Life and the movie Brazil, though.
We're kind of seeing on the horizon where it's absolute control.
Like when Harry met Sally, but also...
Okay, this is excellent. This is
a Christmas story.
Yeah, he said the word horizon. He's talking about Facebook Horizons on the Oculus Quest.
Because he's not here to speak for himself. So there's now an issue of almost finesse or virtuosity or nuance, because you can't be critical of this.
This guy hasn't touched his glass of water in several months. That's what's wrong. He's dehydrated.
Having a life of its own aspect of this thing, because that's how it functions, right? So that can't be.
I think the reason why they're to have that aspect of the conversation is because one of the problems that we're seeing in this type of discussion is that when you point
is that it's too long and nobody says anything.
People will say, that's not possible because it requires a conspiracy, a complete centralized conspiracy, and therefore what you're saying is false. And what Paul's saying, no,
that's not. No. Things are possible if they require conspiracies. HK and I conspired today to stream.
I mean, there have been legitimate conspiracies.
MK Ultra. Like 9/11 was a conspiracy. It's just not the one the conspiracy theorists think it was, right?
That's true. Yeah. There are legitimate examples of conspiracies in our past, and I'm sure there are going to be more in the future.
There are so many of them that is actually a classification of crime is conspiracy. Like the RICO Act was about racketeering and conspiracy.
Yep.
Like it's not that you're suggesting that people are getting together to do bad things. Nobody thinks that people don't do that. like what is a recipe about a conspiracy to make a salad? I mean, like, what is a recipe but a conspiracy to make potato salad?
I lost my sneeze.
What?
I lost my sneeze.
Oh, that's. I thought maybe your shiny new noise gate just cut it out.
I wish.
Saying doesn't require that. I can these self-organizing systems exist. This is one of them. It's excessive. It's parasitic, And I can describe it and say that it exists without, and you can't accuse me of saying it can't exist because it would require this insane, like absolute top-down hierarchy to be.
No, conspiracies don't require top-down hierarchies. There can be flat conspiracies where everyone has the same level of power and they still organize to fuck other people over. Like, or to not fuck somebody over. We'd be having a conspiracy to make a 3-bean salad.
There are certain conspiracies that I would say, like, the requirements for that conspiracy are evidence that doesn't exist. Like the Earth being flat.
Or
like that would require such an insane level of conspiracy among so many people across the world, people and governments across the world, that like I would say effectively that is impossible.
Or like
chemtrails, what do we got here?
Like that one too.
Yeah,
just too many people. But it and when you say impossible, like you mean like so incredibly unlikely that we can just give it a 0 probability because it's so close to 0 probability that it's worthless to entertain the notion. Yeah, like the Earth being flat is just false. Like it's not even really a conspiracy theory at this point. It's just somebody believes something that is so not true. Now the cover up, that's the conspiracy theory.
Yeah. My favorite argument from them is how come NASA doesn't just send a satellite up and take pictures of the Earth then? It's like there is a satellite that takes like 14 pictures a day and you can go on NASA's website and see them.
I think that argument is very well placed, and thank you for bringing it up. Like the one of the things, and you and I have talked about this, right? One of the damages of conspirituality is its inability to see hyperobjects and see hyperobjects as self-organizing entities that can have a collective intelligence and kind of a collective agency. And that's one of the big, that's one of the really worrying kinds of blindness that can do. And so I think that argument is well placed. Let me try it. What I'm trying to say.
Not for nothing, that's the name. Conspirituality is the name of one of my favorite fucking podcasts. Those guys are great. They're like former crunchy yoga people who they're like now skeptics, and their show is so good. They talk a lot about like the yoga studio to QAnon pipeline and shit. Great show.
Like this is, well, it's running on its own, and you're right. People need, but that's not what's wrong with it.
No.
Right. And so what I think is not being said that needs to be
on
said
every podcatcher.
They're trying.
I looked up what I'm talking about, and it's called the Epic Discover.
You know their work better than I do, so I might be speaking
satellite, and you can just Google Epic Discover NASA, and there you go, like 14 pictures every day.
Evil. They're trying to get. So what happens in the Enlightenment is we lose sin and we lose evil and we replace it with immorality. Right. Now there's great advantages to that. There's a lot gained, but again there was something lost, which is we actually
the idea of immorality or whatever, and I like to use the word unethical versus immoral because it's just less loaded. Is when something's a sin, it's just because the fucking God or whatever told you, or the priest told you it's a sin. But when you decide something is immoral or unethical, that's because you've thought about it. Or at least like you listened to somebody else talk about it. It didn't come from like on high, or it didn't necessarily come from on high like a sin does. A sin has to come from on high. And so that's why during the Enlightenment, we decided that we would talk about morality or ethics or whatever.
We don't, right? We can't understand evil because we've reduced it to morality, and we've reduced morality to individual choice.
I think we're getting close to the demons. We must be.
Kantian ethics, autonomy of it, right? So what I'm trying to say, they're trying to say something like, I think what they would like to say is, the machine is evil.
Yeah, but I think that I think, so when I listen to them, and I don't know if they would say this, but what I get from them, and this is maybe filtered through my own symbolic lens or whatever, is to say something like, what I see is the desire to instrumentalize all things towards desire. They won't say desire, they say freedom. But like, I prefer the desire part because I think it's closer to a whole historical development.
Well, freedom is understood as freedom from restraint on desire.
Exactly, there you go. And so what they're saying is you're trying to instrumentalize things in the name of this. And I think that's evil. That's a good definition of evil. Evil is instrumentalization of things towards my own self-desire.
Okay, but this is the part that's missing from their
But what if your selfish desire isn't bad?
This needs to be a desire.
Like, I selfishly desire to take a shower. That's not bad. I just fucking like the way I feel after I take a shower. Get the fuck out of here. Like, what do you mean? Like, we do things for ourselves all the time that also help other people. The shower is a primary example.
Yeah.
I shower and you shower, and maybe we're stuck in this studio sometime when it's a little humid and fucking get a little bit of swamp nuts or whatever. At least your swamp nuts are clean. Like, it's good for everyone.
Yeah.
And you enjoyed the shower too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a very odd point like he made. It's just untrue.
Right, you can do things that you want to do, and then it just fucking helps other people. Like, what if I make a great salad, and I get like overzealous and make the salad too big, and then someone else lives here, and then they get the other half of the salad? And
or what if you just go buy a salad?
Right, because you want one.
Like, that's selfish. You want to buy the salad, like you want to own the salad.
Right.
But like, you're paying someone to make the salad and to give you the salad.
And then again, if it's too big, you can give the rest of it to your friend.
Yep.
Like, so many people are, I mean, I don't know, maybe the person making the salad doesn't like their job or whatever, sure. But like evil isn't just doing the things you want because you want to do them. Like you could do, like, I want to go for a bike ride tomorrow.
That's very selfish of you, Dave.
I mean, I might get in the way of somebody's car, and they're going to show up somewhere a half a second late because they had to slow down for me. Although over here on the south side, I would be terrified and just avoid the cars at all costs because they're not used to fucking bicycles over here.
But it's not. There's no reason to sort of because it's self-organizing, or because it's distributed cognition, or because it's a hyper object, or because it takes on a life of its own. It's what they basically.
Did I miss? What the fuck is a hyper object?
And it's evil that's not.
It doesn't have to mean anything. I don't know.
I mean, that has a specific definition, but I don't think that he's using it in that sense. Like an object that exists in four spatial dimensions is called a hyper object. But right. I don't think that's what he means.
And isn't that useful in like mathematics and some kinds of computer science? Yes. Like,
yes, it is very useful.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's what he means.
As the immorality of individual
could be wrong.
Behavior. It's got a life of its own. That the ancient notion of evil was that it was something beyond immoral behavior. It had a non-existence. You know what I mean when I'm doing it. It has a reality independent of human being. This is Augustine's he claims his great discovery, right? That there's something pulling him down that's not his choice. Yeah. But it somehow infects his choice and makes him believe it's his choice, right? And then he tries with original sin, and we won't get into the theology. But there's the insight there.
You're probably unqualified to talk about that too.
There's something else that goes on beyond immoral. Like you can see Arendt wrestling this with like when she's Eichmann and the banality of evil.
He's thinking pretty hard. Is smoke going to start coming out his fucking ears? Like, what's going on here?
These banal individuals, they're immoral, but they're banal. How do we get the titanic evil of the Nazis from a bunch of people acting immorally?
That's the good, interesting question that you're just going to gloss over. Is how did that happen in a world where most people are generally good and decent people? That's the actual interesting question about what happened under the Third Reich. And this guy's just going to gloss over it because it doesn't have anything to do with God. Like, that's the whole question.
Yep. How do any atrocities happen? That's a very good question.
She's really, that's how I'm reading her. Do you see what I'm trying to
No, I totally agree. But I think that the narrative, if you look at people can't, I understand, people don't understand the narrative, and they've been ruined by science fiction and movies where they see like demons with wings that are with swords and fighting.
Oh no, here we go.
But that's the whole demonology, that's what demonology is. Right? Demonology is to understand that evil is transpersonal. It has a kind of parasitic intelligence,
yes.
And that you can recognize it, you can name it, and you can see the pattern, and then you can notice when it embodies itself. And then you can see that for most of us, sometimes, most of us will let's say, give up to some demon sometimes. Like I get angry, I do this, I do that. But then sometimes some people get completely taken over by something, a parasitic pattern that they become completely taken over by, and then they're possessed.
He's literally describing somebody who needs an exorcism. I
think he's describing body thetans.
It's no different, right?
Like that's how L. Ron Hubbard described thetans. So I guess, I don't know, thetans seem like, you're just copying the idea of demons from Christian mythology.
Oh, Scientology.
But yeah, this is just mythology that this guy is talking about as if it's real.
They're possessed by the demon of anger, and that this is something that happens. I think that's what demonology is. And I understand people would be hesitant to bring back demonology because it has so many weird connotations. But if we can understand it properly, we can see that it is this idea that there are these patterns that are intelligent and that are
oh no, he's going to describe it again.
Agency, and that you can recognize them, and that, like you said, it doesn't.
They do not have agency. What the fuck is he talking about?
Necessitate conscious actors all through the way that they embody themselves. It doesn't at all.
Yes.
But you can still see the structure, and you can still see it embodying itself.
So yeah, we've had another discussion.
You're talking about a ghost?
We've had two, and the idea of distributed cognition, collective intelligence.
So the dude's desperate to try to save this guy from himself by changing the subject to back to the metaverse.
I think the evidence for this is overwhelming, and Dan Chappie and I published papers.
Collective intelligence? That there's what evidence for collective intelligence? He's saying that it's overwhelming.
Does he mean like a library?
Yeah, it depends on how you define it, right? Because we have to do things to, but that's collected. That's a collection of knowledge, not you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It could be an emergent property, but there's nothing inherent about matter that it's matter floating out in space doesn't necessarily have collective intelligence. Does he mean we as a species have evolved to have some sort of collective intelligence?
The thing about this stuff, it's a little bit effective because it's weaselly and you can't really pin it down. The other guy, you could pin down what he was saying. He was just literally talking about a fucking someone needing an exorcism or a fucking auditing session or some shit.
Yeah, he literally said it has agency.
Right.
So he's talking about an actual demon.
Or a body thetan or some shit, yeah. But this guy's a little more weaselly.
Agency and I think we're what I'm saying is we're because we're breaking out of the individualistic model of cognition, we are now maybe groping or at least moving towards an ontology in which we can now relocate what we used to.
Moving out of the individualistic model of who's we? Who's we?
I think he means humanity, but I would disagree.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure people who study human cognition are not trying to transcend transcend the individual. Like doesn't seem like it would be doesn't seem like a thing that like the people who study cognition, cognitive scientists, cognitive behavioralists, cognitive psychologists, whatever, doesn't seem like a thing that they're doing. Otherwise, you'd be hearing about it. Because the religious people would be dancing a jig for it, right? Or the crystal healing energy, everything is energy and we're all connected. People would be like, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. The scientific consensus is that, but they're not doing that. It's just this guy doing it. God damn.
And not just try and place it within individual moral choice. That's what I'm suggesting is actually the key thing that is happening here. And I don't see them actually recognizing it. I think it's implicit in what they're doing, but I think this is actually the key thing that's happening.
But I think I think
they're fixating on the wrong thing.
But it's funny.
I think these two guys, all three of these, are actually sharing one skepticism. So that's part of the problem. They only have.
What do you mean?
They only have the skepticism of one person between all three of them. Sharing one skepticism. And they have exactly zero cynicism between all three of them. And so this is all just fucked. Yeah, it's my turn on the skeptic. But they each have at least one galaxy brain.
Yep. The bigger the galaxy brain, the dumber the things you say, right?
Generally, yeah. I've had a couple real galaxy brain moments, but like I didn't really share them with anybody. I was high as a motherfucker sitting in the corner of a warehouse watching the world melt. I had a couple realizations about the world. I would call those galaxy brain moments, and no, I'm not going to talk to everybody about them.
It's someone, maybe I'm speaking for Paul.
Keep them to my fucking self.
There's a fear. People are afraid to talk about these things. Because, like, look what I just said. I just said, I'll say it straight out. I said, there's a demon that is a watcher, that's watching over a pattern of reality, and that is what is maintaining it together and making its boots work in the world. And these people...
These boots, is there a boots are made for walking joke here?
I guess that song was demonic.
I bet they probably thought so at the time.
Watcher,
it was like feminism. Hold on, we got to go back. This is fucking amazing.
Afraid to talk about these things because, like, look what I just said. I just said, I'll say it straight out. I said, there's a demon that is a watcher, that's watching over a pattern of reality, and that is what is maintaining it together and making its boots work in the world. And these people are possessed and are unwilling agents of a demon. And they're bringing about this system. And it's like, okay, really? And then everybody starts to look around and tries to get out of the room.
Right. But the point, and you know, we don't completely agree on this, although we like.
No, I would.
I'm gonna grab my controller, and I'm gonna push X to doubt.
Whether or not
well, maybe I could just say one thing. So yeah. I think that...
Wait, you were going to stop him from agreeing with you about demons, mostly, while pretending to disagree with you. Why did you stop him? Why did you stop your husband from agreeing with you about demons?
Conversation for hours and hours of conversation had made it possible for me to say that. Yeah. And I think you were able to see that...
Oh shit, Clippy's here to help them. Look.
It looks like you're talking about demons.
Using a language.
You could stop
Would
right
you like
now.
help shutting the fuck up?
Have you considered installing... I don't know, never mind.
Bring back a traditional language to explain something which I can...
Microsoft Exorcism 95.
Causalities, I could use other languages if you want, but that language is also possible. And I think that Paul, if I had Paul in a private conversation and I would say, do you think there's a demon behind this? He might say yes, but he's like, I don't know how to say that.
Well, he did say that he felt that the driver was metaphysical.
Right. So he's kind of pointing.
Like, why? Please update your Angel Fire page about demons. Oh man,
something like that.
Okay, that's an interesting question. But you're a professor with tenure. Like, you don't talk about kind of metaphysics in this way. Do you feel uncomfortable about?
What do you mean? So,
well,
I do talk about distributed.
Tenure's a bad idea, actually, because you could be senior at a place and maybe get a little more leeway because you have a good track record, but like tenure's stupid. Where else?
Yeah.
Where else can you go around
agree.
like mistreating your coworkers and shit, and then be like, well, that person has tenure, so they can just do that.
Yeah. It was a dumb idea when it started, and it's continued to be a dumb idea this entire time.
Right. The only other people who could do that is cops. It's like you either
Also a dumb idea.
right. Well, at least yeah. The idea of policing maybe isn't dumb, but cops definitely bad.
The idea of them having unlimited power and no checks on that power is a dumb idea.
Also, this guy having tenure, even if we let some people have tenure, is a bad idea. I bet this guy doesn't mistreat the people he works with, though. I bet he's just tiring. You know what I'm saying? I bet he's just like, you don't want to get stuck in like anywhere with this guy. Not because he's going to grope but because the opposite of that, the opposite reason. Also not good, but not as bad as being groped. This guy's just going to fucking he's gonna like a sucking monster on your mind, and he's just gonna talk and talk and talk and talk.
He's an energy vampire.
You've got a reputation to protect. We don't. It's basically what I'm saying. And Jonathan's pointing at this, that there is a discomfort with this language, a discomfort with this. But
because it's crazy.
Pointing in that direction with the talk of kind
like
of
Jonathan's pointing out that there's a discomfort with you just sitting here saying a demon is real. Well, no, motherfucker, it's crazy. It's like crazy town. Of course, people are. I mean, I'm not uncomfortable with it. I think it's great, but that's because of the exact and specific nature of what we're doing here. Oh, look, you got David Fuller with the fucking the tinfoil hat. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I kind of want to have him on the show to talk about it.
Right.
Like, please come on, let's talk about demons.
Right. Just be like, please have a sense of humor. We come in good faith. We're going to have jokes. You can bring your best jokes. Oh shit, Justin freaking with the goats. You missed it, Justin. You missed it. In fact, I think it was like only back like here we go. You check this out.
I think you were able to see that what I mean is coherent. I'm using a language. I'm trying to bring back a traditional language to explain something which I could break it down.
Do I have to go back further?
I could use other languages if you want, but that language.
I think so.
Collective intelligence, and that.
Here we go.
I think the evidence.
It was just after this.
And
Yep.
Dan Chappie and I published papers.
This guy on the left, who's on David Fuller's show, who's an intellectual, he just described a demon, and he's going to explain again that he believes in a literal fucking demon, and these people are sense makers.
Papers on that, and shared agency, and
that is not a leftist. Well, I don't know.
So I think we're what I'm saying is we're because we're breaking out of the individualistic model of cognition, we are now maybe groping, or at least moving towards.
Why is he talking about groping?
In which we can now relocate what we used to point at with demons and evil, and not just try and place it within individual moral choice. That's what I'm suggesting is actually the key thing that is happening here. And I don't see them actually recognizing it. I think it's implicit in what they're doing, but I think this is actually the key thing that's happening.
But I think
I think they're fixating on the wrong thing.
But it's funny because I think that someone, maybe I'm speaking for Paul, but I think that there's a fear. People are afraid to talk about these things. Because, like, look what I just said. I just said, I'll say it straight out. I said, there's a demon that is a watcher, that's watching over a pattern of reality, and that is what is maintaining it together and making its boots work in the world. And these people are possessed and are unwilling agents of a demon, and they're bringing about this system. And it's like, okay, really? And then
so he thinks that anyone who is like morally evil is possessed by a demon, and any atrocities that they commit were because the demon was controlling them.
So if you could imagine the people like us on Twitter got a hold of this, and we're like, tweeting at him like, "Hey, dude, hey, did you really say you believe in a demon?" He's like, "That's not what I said." And then they were like, "Well, here's a timestamp, actually."
I like that, like, he didn't just say it. He actually clarified it in this one that he did mean a literal demon. So he can't walk that back. He actually meant a literal demon.
He would have to walk it back twice.
Yep.
Yeah, he totally clarified it. And people on Twitter...
It's only 9:00. How am I already yawning?
You had to sit through you had to sit through a lot to get to this point. But people on Twitter were like, hey, dude, you believe in literal demons? And like I said, he said, "No, I don't." And then they gave him a timestamp. It was probably like right where we went back to when the Raiders came, right? And he's like, then he went the other way and just said demons are real. And then people started really making fun of him.
So wait, he denied it, and then they showed him proof, and he's like, "Okay, yeah, demons are real."
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like, what else is he gonna do? This guy's out of his fucking mind.
Right, but the point, and you know, we don't completely agree on this, although we
fucking motherfucker, we don't completely agree on this. How nice. Thanks, dude.
Well, maybe I could just say one thing. So I think that our long conversation, for hours and hours of conversation, has made it possible for me to say that.
Well, the conversations are doing bad things for you, my friend. You should have different conversations. Maybe with people who are more critical. What was that fucking thing they were talking about? The fucking the suspicious fucking paradigm or whatever it was. The suspicious. Yeah. What was that? He needs to go with the suspicious people a little bit more because he's hanging out with the people who think everything's beautiful. Then he just told them about a real demon that like makes you do bad things. It's probably making us make fun of him right now.
It's making me yawn right now.
Right.
That's all demon power.
The hemorrhagic. Oh, was that? God damn it, Seth. I would try to read that word, but also like because the chat is the way that it is, I'm like, that person's fucking with me. It's the hermetics of suspicion. He was saying, I think.
Okay.
The hemorrhoids of suspicion. God damn it.
The hemorrhoids of suspicion.
You know what? This guy needs to hang out with more people who are suspicious about what he's saying that have hemorrhoids, so they are like a little quick, a little punchy, you know? This guy fucking, come on, man. How does David Fuller, this is one of the things I want to talk to David Fuller about is like, why, like at some point you have to just be like, what the fuck? And there's no point like that for him.
Well, that's because he's about to, like, I don't know if you caught it. He's gearing up to go back to the, isn't it great that we can have this conversation line? Like that's what he's doing right now. So he's cutting off them from saying, yeah, but that's kind of crazy and we don't agree with you. He's cutting them off right now and saying, but isn't it great we could have this conversation?
Is he about to do it again? I was like busy thinking about.
Yeah, he's saying like it took hours for him to finally open up and reveal his crazy.
And I think you were able to see that what I mean is coherent. I'm using a language. I'm trying to bring back a traditional language to explain something which I could break it down in causalities. I could use other languages if you want, but that language is also possible. And I think that Paul, if I had Paul in a private conversation and I would say, do you think there's a demon behind this? He might say yes, but he's like, I don't know how to say that.
Well, he did say that he felt that
maybe Paul will say anything to get laid. Who's Paul? I don't even know who the fuck Paul is.
Pointing towards something like that.
Okay. That's an interesting question, but you're a professor with tenure. Like, you don't talk about kind of metaphysics in this way. Do you feel uncomfortable about?
What do you mean? So, I do talk about distributed cognition.
You've got a reputation to protect. We don't.
I mean, no, you don't. If you're sitting there with David Fuller and the demon's a real guy, you probably actually don't have a reputation to protect. There's fucking no way.
Or if you do, you're doing a bad job.
Like, and Jonathan's pointing at this, that there is a discomfort with this language, a discomfort with this, but you're pointing in that direction with the talk of kind of distributed.
So I was wrong about the he wasn't going back to, isn't it great we can have this conversation? He actually just doubled down and was like, no, you really do believe me. What I'm saying makes perfect sense and it's true. And you doubting me, you're the crazy one, not me.
And then David Fuller is kind of like almost both sidesing it, but then more taking the demon guy's side, it seems like.
Maybe David Fuller believes in demons.
Maybe this is all performance art, and he has to block me because if he came on my show, he would be like, okay, listen, you're being very rude, and you just don't get the joke, all right? Goodbye.
If this is performance art, it is the most brilliant performance art I've ever seen.
I don't think it is, but I've seen enough proper trolling in my life to know that it's not 0% chance that it's performance art. It's pretty close, and we can dismiss the idea for the most part, but we do have to keep in mind that it could be performance art. What's up, Tones? You missed the whole demon thing. We're not going back.
BJ Campbell now talking about egregores, and it's sort of like overlapping with talk of the occult.
I'm a release this too on the pod feed. This is amazing.
I mean, I published 3 papers on it, so at least some part of it's comfortable in academia.
Like, but did they say that there's a demon?
Yeah, I highly doubt anyone is publishing papers about demons.
Well, does the demon have a name?
Is the demon here in the room with us?
Right, and if the demon is here in the room with us, should we not maybe stop using derogatory language like demon, because we should try to build trust actually with the demon so that we can have a conversation with the demon. I'm sorry, with the extra reality entity. We can have a conversation with that entity about how great it is that we're having a conversation about that entity. And I feel like if there was a demon, his name is like Frederick, and he's actually a nice guy with feelings, and y'all should extend some charity.
He prefers the term angel of the underworld.
Right. They, them pronouns are fine, though.
The Angels of the Underworld is the name of my new band, by the way.
In important journals. So
that probably is a band, actually. So maybe not.
Cognition, extended mind, distributed cognition, collective intelligence.
No, your dude over there was talking about a demon. Now this guy's like shit about distributed cognition and distributed like something of the mind. Now this doesn't sound as crazy as it is. I think this dude over there is like throwing a block.
I think like, Angels of the Underworld is like a book series, actually. Sorry.
You know how like, yeah, I think he's throwing a block. It's like if you're riding your bike and you have to turn left and then you notice like the big rig is turning left. And if you can avoid the big rig, nothing's going to hit you because the big rig is in the way. And you turn left on the outside of the big rig. That's how you turn left at an intersection. Find a big car and try to stay next to it as it turns left. That's what this guy's doing that's what the demon guy is doing for this guy as he starts talking about this fucking distributed cognition bullshit.
Reasonable by proxy.
Right. It's like fucking, it's like if somebody comes up to you and explains the Xenu story to you, and then somebody tells you, well, maybe the moon's a hologram. Compared to the Xenu story, you're like, well, maybe the moon is a hologram.
You're more reasonable, so I'm going to go over there with you, and let's leave this other guy behind.
Yeah, I'm going to leave the Xenu story alone. But have you heard about the hologram moon? Like that's what I think that's what we just witnessed. We witnessed the fucking demon guy throw a block for the collective consciousness guy.
Hyper objects, hyper agents.
What is a hyper object?
This is all.
It's a 4-dimensional object.
It's giving
clearly, and a hyper agent is a 4-dimensional agent. I guess.
I've seen Burn Notice. I know what agents are.
Some of the history that Jonathan acknowledged, but
can they rotate and translate in the 4th dimension?
Like he's trying, he's like you said,
they can barely remember their lines on that show, dude.
All these imageries, there's all this history, there's all these horror movies, there's all this other stuff that I.
But I don't see it as a way to.
Dude, the hyper agent takes 20% instead of 10 or 15. It's like, have you ever seen Californication? As Runkle was the hyper agent because he took like 30% of all of Hank's money.
Right now, I don't see it as a way to cast it aside. What
I'm
I
not
see
casting
it
aside.
as a way to recapture it in a manner that will not be silly and superstitious and ridiculous. That it will actually
Oh, you should clarify again. You could recapture this idea in a way that wouldn't be silly or superstitious, dude. Let's go. Come on, baby. Give us a third. Give us a, isn't it great that I was able to talking about the demon? Can I have that? Can you give that to me right now, Mr. Peugeot?
There is a way that we could talk about it without being superstitious. It's to not fucking believe in it. Because if you believe in it, you're superstitious. That is a superstition, period. The end.
And it's actually fine. Like, I don't even care if people believe in ghosts or whatever. Like, one of the people that raids our channel, one of our onlyest Twitch friends, I think, believes in ghosts. But I was able to go on his show, watch ghost videos, make fun of the ghost videos. He had a laugh, I had a laugh, he made fun of the ghost videos, and I said, oh, actually, this is more convincing than most ghost videos. But, like, that might have been the actual marketplace of ideas about demons, and nobody invited Jonathan Peugeot. Jonathan Peugeot, go on Famous Horse's show and watch ghost videos with him, all right? He won't even make fun of you a little until you tell him, actually, that might or might not be a ghost, but it's controlled by a demon. The demon is somewhere between the moon and the earth. And it is
controlling ghosts from the top, or
yes,
ghosts and people.
Yes.
How does this demon work? Does it have a physical connection? Is it some sort of like astral plane connection?
5G.
5G. Man, the reception is great on this demon.
I think that this moment and your work affords the possibility of going back into a medieval grimoire, right, and saying, okay, we can now understand this in a better way that the horror movie doesn't understand.
And that, so give me that caveat, and then my answer to you is, given that caveat, I'm happy to talk this way. But in addition to demons, I would talk about Daemons, right? And I would talk.
Wait, but a daemon?
Daemons?
HK, what's a daemon? You're the right one to like in where you're at.
A daemon is a piece of software that
could also be your friend.
What?
Could also just be your friend. Huh? You have a friend named Damon?
No.
All right, maybe he's just talking about this dude he knows, but go ahead.
A daemon's a piece of software that runs in the background and like does some function like running something else or serving network requests or something.
There are daemons at play all over the place on what we're doing right now, right?
Yep.
You could suggest that you installed a brand new daemon today. It does something in the background that you don't have to actively monitor, and it helps, I think. But
I did. I installed Pipewire. That's a daemon.
And the way that you know that it's a daemon in software is that you forget about it.
Yeah.
You forget about it and you only know about it when it isn't working.
Yep, exactly.
It's just like this guy's demon, actually. If this guy's demon stopped making everybody do all this bad shit, we'd figure it out because we lived in utopia.
Yep. We just need to uninstall that demon. Just pkill -9 what is it? Top level demon? Top dash level dash demon.
I just feel like I would just wipe the system clean.
Pipewire is not like Wireshark. Pipewire is a new sound server for Linux, and it's fucking amazing.
Also a video server. We've implemented the video part of Pipewire, not the audio. So like,
Pipewire is fucking amazing.
Any like the composite of the on the stream, the video from YouTube, it's using Pipewire to bring the video into OBS. We just haven't. Whatever, our audio is stuck nobody will ever get me to change like the basic way that I do audio around here. But yeah, you also installed like
Jack is better for real-time audio than Pipewire is.
I was also like, you installed a noise gate. A noise gate is a daemon that might exist outside of a computer, right? Because it's on somebody's rack.
Yeah.
In their radio station, and they only know that it's broken. They only know that it's there when it's broken.
Yep.
There's a multiplicity of terms in Greek, and we.
Oh, really? Thanks.
So Socrates has his daemonium, his divine sign, right? And there's
I've been thinking about this so much, and I've been trying to poke at it. There seems to be the positive aspect.
Don't poke at the demon. It's got lasers and shit, dude.
Interestingly enough,
The demon has fucking lasers, dude. Don't fuck with that thing.
Angels are the left hand.
Maybe the demon's into that.
Left hands are basically the demons, and they're unwittingly doing the transcendent work without them knowing what they're doing. But so there isn't a neutral category, and I'm like, there's got to be a neutral category. But in Islam, they have the notion of the jinn as a ambiguous category, and I think in Christianity, that's why, although
The neutral demon?
in the theology, we only have this duality.
Now we're talking about demonic alignment?
The fairies, and you'll always have these wood sprites, all these manifestations of intelligent patterns, that natural intelligent patterns that people talk about that are kind of ambiguous, because you know that what happens in the woods is
I'm a lawful neutral demon, so
it can be but
you could be here, but only if you're allowed.
Also, real quick, if the tenured professor doesn't think this guy is cute, then there's a real problem here. I'm just saying.
Why?
Because, like, why the fuck else would he hang out with this guy? Like, if he doesn't think he's, like, fucking, like,
my God, you're
smoking hot. Like, if he's not attracted to this guy, like, in a, like, a romantic, like, not just a sexual way, but a fucking romantic way. Because, I mean, he is, he's not, a demon guy's not a bad looking guy for a, he's like a little older than me. I think maybe 50. Pretty good looking for a 50-year-old,
Yep. In case you're very confused about what Dave is saying, at the beginning of this conversation that they're having, those two were flirting.
They appeared to be.
No, they were 100% flirting.
Everyone here was a little uncomfortable and felt a little third wheelie.
Yeah.
But I'm not totally sure I found a way to talk about it yet that is coherent with to have like this idea of like the way that the daemon would have functioned in Greek culture would have not necessarily been good or bad. It would just have been.
What is it, daemon? I'm so confused. Is a demon different than a daemon? Isn't that just two ways to pronounce the same word?
That
Eros is considered a daemon.
Yeah.
Just fucking shut up.
Socrates' daemonium is something.
Eros, what does that control?
One step aside, because it's not a daemon.
Is that a male daemon?
It's something like a daemon in him. So it's a much more complicated and interesting taxonomy.
Yeah. But you have the notion of the guardian angel, like in some Russian theology, for example, there's a notion that
Eros is sexual love, so it's a sex daemon.
Right. It's like
it's like the daemon that runs Pornhub.
You could say. And that's your guardian angel.
Most of that is running in the background.
When you come
If you go into the fucking data center, all you hear are the fans, actually,
talks about the angel on the right shoulder.
That's all the Eros daemons running on all those servers.
Both into Aaron, and he says Aaron is both of those at the same time.
Or is he talking about like a dude named Aaron? Is he talking about his ex? I don't know.
Anyways,
I get myself kicked off of Twitch if I keep talking about these people like this.
There's one last thing.
Like, there's context and shit, but eventually it becomes a problem. I become the problem.
Which ties a few of these things together and also pushes into something of personal interest, which is the future of rebel wisdom and kind of this sense that...
The future of rebel wisdom is you're going to keep grifting all those old people you had on the group call.
To move on to other things. So Paul mentioned how this area of the internet is kind of dealing with the questions, what is the nature of the civilizational crises we're facing and what are the paths out? And he said part of the difficulty...
Tracy, you be knowing things.
Is that this little corner of the internet...
Punk Grammar's like, shut up, you're like the smartest, nicest person in our chat most nights. Tracy, rolling.
He says, this makes the heterodox space to some degree always reactive, and that reactivity is antithetical to the sorts of institution building that's necessary for sustained human reformation and flourishing.
Lady B, whatever you said you meant in an angry way. I've seen you. I see you.
2020 saying that the idea of like
There's always an angry Australian woman in the chat. Just no matter what. It was Sammy. Now it's
new institutions.
now it's Lady B. I'm glad Sammy and Lady B haven't had too many interactions, because I heard angry Australian women might be territorial.
Of rebel wisdom, like it feels like it was the right thing to cover that insurgency. It was a necessary moment, sort of from 2016 onwards, and covering that whole narrative was the right thing to do. But for me, it feels like that story has been told.
No, you're not that bad. You haven't been kicked out, Lady B.
What's needed now is actually a process.
You're wonderful, Lady B.
We haven't made you the queen either, though, you know.
Or a heterodox.
Oh, you do have a crown next to your name.
Yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
I agree. You might have not seen that tweet, but I said very early, I think, like maybe a few months after it started, I said, I do not identify with the intellectual dark web. Like, I just do not identify with that name. I don't want, there's something that to me that's not what I want. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be just the guy poking at the system, because then you lose. You've already lost.
I bet he got beef with one of those people. And I bet it's not Sam Harris.
One of them doesn't believe in demons.
I bet it's not about that. I bet he has like some weird beef with like Eric Weinstein over like some sort of weird toilet paper roll metaphor shit. Like, it's weird. I bet he's got some personal beef with one of them for some other fucking real weird reason. Maybe Dave and Dave Rubin weren't like interested in like exploring their relationship further. I don't know.
But I think that there is like, you're right, and where you are and what you want to do next, I think it's possible right now. Because
speaking of Daemons, I just got an email from my smart monitor Daemon.
Assumptions or breakdown. You can't just keep doing that. You have
if it was smart, it would know not to email you right now.
to then plant a new seed. You have to.
It monitors my my RAID array and tells me if any of the disks are going bad.
Cloud Earth.
And it sends me emails just to let me know that it can still send me emails.
Already anything else, you have to kind of break down.
That's
It's like
what
a dead
that one
man.
was.
It's like a dead man switch.
To build out of it. And so
Yeah, if I don't get an email from it for a while, I'll know it's not working.
And then it's time to like set off the nuclear weapon that you've like conveniently hidden somewhere.
Well, we're all doing it in our own way. It's not just.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a.
Oh no, they're making fun of you now.
I guess the issue, on my tombstone.
I like it when they make fun of you, because that means they're not making fun of me this time.
Is right. I agree. We and Paul and I had a recent video where we're talking about what this.
This is starting to. I'm getting couples therapy vibes now. I feel like this video's long enough that their relationship has gone through, like they went on their honeymoon, they've come back, and now they're fighting. We're not the couples
Now
therapy.
he's like, this guy, he believes in demons, and I don't, and it's tearing us apart.
L.A. Paul's work comes to mind here. Like, if you could see what's going to happen in the transformation, you're not going through a real transformation. If you can infer your way through it, then you're not. You're just extrapolating, right? And so that's why I'm really resistant.
The difference between us and the rest of the critic sphere is that we'll hang on to their dating joke for like a couple hours, right? We'll hang on to that for way longer than anybody else will. And the reason we're able to do that,
was a joke.
the reason we're able to do that is actually identity politics, and it's my identity specifically. Otherwise, people will be like, "This is a little homophobic."
Yeah, that is true.
You'd be uncomfortable doing this routine about their date with Matt. If Matt kept bringing up their date, you'd be like, "This is a little cringe."
Yeah.
It's because it's a claim that
Fuck yeah, identity politics.
right, and then that undermines what I think is happening, which is a genuine transformation. So the difficulty we're facing right now.
Imagine there from here is basically.
Yeah, well, the imaginal link is difficult.
The imaginal link
is difficult, and it's needed. You can't do it without the imaginal link. You can't go through transformation without.
He said it again. The imaginal link.
That's the talk.
What is the imaginal link?
Like, ritual is absolutely necessary, but the question then becomes, well, what are, right? We sort of, like, we deconstructed, we broke the frame, but how do we properly, I guess, how do we properly ritualize the transformation?
What the fuck are you talking? You're just embarrassed that your husband believes in demons, all right?
Difference between Buck and I, although he
How do we properly ritualize the transformation of the imaginal link?
like I don't know. I'm not. It's not clear in my mind how we move forward and start to build this.
You know what?
Have we talked about hyperobjects recently? We should talk about those.
Lessons from history. I tried to take a lesson from.
You know what? I only have so much license. The next joke I was going to make about a hyperobject.
Come in with socioeconomic policies.
No, I can't do it. There's no way I can sanitize that joke.
People being together and
oh God,
was it imaginal? Was it an imaginal hyperobject?
You steal the culture. But it comes down.
Sorry, everybody. Jesus Christ!
Like we're
Some
trying
things
to
you just can't fucking sanitize.
Communities of practice.
Too spicy for Twitch.
But like, who are we to do this?
Also, I don't want to give them any ideas.
What are the criteria by which we do the vetting? Right now, we've just been relying on. I trust Jonathan.
I'm starting to wonder, that fan, does it even work?
If we want a civilization.
That's a nice fan. I bet it moves a lot of air, you know?
So I totally agree.
I would assume it works. I'd assume this is not their place, by the way. They just ask like, hey, we noticed you guys are closed. Can we come in for like 10 minutes and record a video? And now the owner of the place is just like tapping their foot in the back like,
Utopia. Very suspicious of that. So
I need to this.
Oh, sorry about that, everybody. I turned off the fucking sound. I got to stop fucking with the
Uh-oh.
I got to stop fucking with the incredibly complicated on-off button for the sound of OBS. When I need to like set up something where I can't. Anyway, sorry everybody. We had jokes. They weren't too spicy for Twitch. They weren't even funny. But we're trying to figure out where they are. Like, I think this has got to be one of their living rooms.
I'm thinking if they're in a coffee shop, there's got to be some like employee there like, come on, guys, can we wrap it up? You paid for an hour.
If I'd have known you were going to be here this long, I would have taken that couple mushroom caps that I have, like, just in my drawer. Because I can't possibly sit here and listen to this. This looks like a bar. But I bet it's this guy's living room. The guy on the screen right here. He seems like the kind of guy who would have this kind of living room. These people are only on this show because they're rich.
Yeah. If it is one of their living rooms, like, why would they build it that way?
They knew this day was coming.
Huh?
They knew this day was coming.
Oh, like they built it specifically for this.
Like, well, I mean, I don't think this is a bar.
I don't know. I don't know what to do.
I don't know if I was like an eccentric rich person who like believed in demons. Maybe I would build a bar that doesn't look like a bar anybody would go to in my living room. I don't know, HK.
I'll keep doing all of what I'm doing and stealing the culture and everything, but I'm really wrestling really deeply about how can I behave virtually and responsibly in this kairos.
What?
And I take that question. The question is
in this kairos. What's a kairos?
I'm really suspicious. I'm suspicious of any.
What it is like a $3 word.
And something else. And part of it is you can train your ear. And that's
Tracy, this is some weird dude's living room. I'm just trying to. It's not David Fuller's living room. I think it's this guy's living room.
And part of what we're doing is, but how do I turn that from a metaphor into something?
It's like half study, half bar. This is just what happens when you have money and no taste.
So I really want to encourage you with what you're doing, and I think you're putting yourself into.
This guy seems like he's apologizing for something now.
And but if you're a good sailor, right?
Wait, what?
There's one of my favorite scenes in Moby Dick, the lee shore.
What?
I don't know what the fuck is going on in this conversation right now. It went off the rails.
This is
and
what's
there's a
happening.
storm, and it's outside.
Can we go back to the demons?
Is he gonna cry? No, we're not going all the way back to the demons.
But what it has to do is it has to marshal the wind and use the wind to go out to sea.
Listen, you can pull clips from this channel. I'll send you this tomorrow if you want to like.
And I think it is.
You want to fuck with the 9 people who follow the other show
I can help you.
on YouTube. You can put up the fucking demon
I've
clip.
come to sort
You
of
get like
something
3
analogous
followers out of it.
Really reverberating in me is like, how do I do what Melville said? How do I virtuously turn?
The demon is actually in charge of the rails,
in the
HK.
maelstrom so I
So
can sail
this
the
man has
boat into
escaped the
open sea
demon
truth.
or the daemon.
And
Actually, controlling the rails would be like a daemon
what
because the rails are
wrestling
just
with
sitting there,
is
and you only notice they're fucked up if like something breaks.
so I deeply empathize.
If something goes off the rails, then
Be of help.
wouldn't the demon just kill it and restart it on the rails again?
Because all of this is, for me, this is
The demon made it go off the
the
rails.
central existential virtue question. I think right now it's the most exigent, pressing.
Oh well, Lynx,
How can I
welcome.
be virtuous in a
What's up, what's up?
genuine Kairos.
Yeah, and I want to speak to that because I framed it as talking about kind of wrapping up rebel wisdom, but obviously that's in order to go to something else.
Even the demon, the room. If there was a demon there, the demon is not haunting this room anymore. The demon has found somewhere else to go.
And my piece to hold, I think, is more.
Listen, I am truly evil, and I will not
trying to get
fucking
more
sit through this.
mainstream and legacy media attention on some of these ideas, some of these practices, going back.
Do you think that's what they're doing? Is this an exorcism of this space?
out into the alternative and coming back with the gold and supporting people like yourself?
Yeah, I
Like
think
this
so.
guy called up and is like, look, I built a weird bar in my living room and now it's haunted by a demon and I need you guys to come over so we can talk about nothing for 2 hours and bore the demon to death.
The mainstream
They're like,
conversation
listen,
is
we don't believe the demon will die, but
say, this is
we
how
could
that
surely
works,
make
and this
it
is
leave, at
because
least temporarily.
of the times we're going through. And that's
The owner of this house is like
that's the
asleep,
story that
like
I think I'm called to tell.
getting the first good
And that now is no longer a
day's sleep of their life.
no longer just an alternative thing. I think it was an alternative thing.
Typing the audio through ever so quietly.
It's time to see how many of those pressure points we can press on. And there's one of those is the media side. Another of those is, for me, I talked to Jonathan yesterday about going back into the gender conversation.
Oh no.
Timely to
Oh no, they're about to do a transphobia. Watch.
go back into that in a very sort of mature way. And what does a healthy relationship, what does a healthy conversation between the masculine and the feminine look like? Because that's a huge cultural pressure point.
No, actually. Oh, time for tinfoil. Thanks for the. There is not like a huge. There's no like cultural like pressure point or whatever when you're talking about gender, unless like you think that like I shouldn't be sexist and I shouldn't be shitty to trans and non-binary people is like a pressure point, because that's the pressure point, right?
Yeah. I think the pressure point he's talking about is we have one group of people who just wants to like live and be left alone. And then you have another group of people who just can't fucking stand that the first group of people exists.
Right. And even if
And
that
it's like,
first
no,
group,
you're not living the way I want you to live.
even if that first
I want you to live my way.
even if that first group of people doesn't just want to live and be left alone, maybe they want to like shine a little bit and like you know, I don't know, put what they think out there, make some art. Maybe they're a DJ. Who knows what the fuck? They're a fucking pop star, and they're part of this community. And by this community, I just mean like people who aren't straight and cis. Then that's fine too. Like, because some people want to put themselves out there, and like everybody hell mad about it. So like, they're not going to get into it though, because I would love it if Jonathan Peugeot, like a Peugeot, like a car, Peugeot. I would love it if he called them demons, actually, or us demons. That'd be great. He'd be like, actually, the gays are just demons. But
I don't think he believes that. Well, he hasn't said anything that would indicate that he believes that.
Background and the stuff that I've been doing with Rebel Wisdom also feels like something.
Thank you for the resub time for tinfoil.
But your job is just to recreate the Axial Revolution, John. You haven't taken on a big plan at all yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I do want the Axial Revolution, not the French Revolution.
Wait, what?
I love the way you talk when you talk about
You don't want the French Revolution.
distributing of practices. Like that has to be what it's about. It's like, how do you create those practices of virtue, those practices of connection that then become an embodied living thing.
What happened to their audio? Do you hear it? It got muffled all of a sudden?
It's going to change things.
Yeah, it's like they switched mics.
I think we have to recover the
This is the authentic part.
So you can move up levels of this.
You know what I think happened?
Their shit broke.
They've been talking for so fucking long that their wireless mics died.
The church and the university, and they overlap, but so I'm just talking about emphasis. The university,
Or like the receiver for the three. Yeah. They're running everything off batteries, which is a bad idea with people who talk for this long.
right? And so we
Yeah, and now we're listening to them through their fucking laptop mic.
it's absolutely necessary, but I don't know how we reconfigure.
This is the authentic part. I also think there's something that they none of that might have happened, and this might be like part of the grift.
It both spins
Where
Paul would be the first to admit that.
this is the authentic part.
Slowing the rate at which it fragments.
Oh shit, the Daemons all failed. Oh, fucking yeah, good job. Fuck yeah, Theta. All the things that were running in the background that they weren't paying that much attention to that made their audio sound pretty good, those things all failed, and now it sounds like this. No, like a good mic.
And it was the demons who made the Daemons fail.
No, but like a good mic is like a daemon, right? You don't think about it until it breaks.
Yep.
Fuck yeah. I gotta pee. Oh fuck, there's like a giant orange cat that is gonna be my adversary. He's gonna try to get out here. I gotta pee though, HK. I hate, we need to figure out like a way through like WebSockets that you just can pause this while and make it play again. It would be a deliverance it would be a deliverance for like people who co-stream.
Do you run X11?
Yes.
Okay, I can figure it out.
Fuck yeah.
It's still happening.
Open source. No, fuck that. We'll sell it to others. No, we could open source it and like shill for donations.
Obsolete or irrelevant to most people's lives. And so how we reconfigure that, I don't know. But yeah, that's what's needed. And the reason why I need to talk to people like Jonathan is, I mean, I think Jonathan has really finely tuned his ear to catch that melody, the first notes.
I honestly am having trouble hearing what he's saying, but I feel like I'm getting the same impression
really important
as someone who could hear what he's saying.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. You know.
Yeah.
I definitely. I mean, it's clearly I have a different. I mean, my approach is rather. I think that the new world will be given, and it's hard for people to understand what that means. But I think that the world functions. Worlds are built on revelations, like they just are, and I hate for that.
Worlds are built on revelations. Is that what he said?
But, you know, that's why if you look at every civilization, it always ultimately started with like some relation between a god and a human. Like every single civilization, there's always at the outset some demigod.
All right, I gotta grab my controller and press X to doubt again because this guy's saying crazy shit again.
In Christianity, we have a sense in which there will be, right? There's an eschatological.
Completely doubt. What the fuck is he talking about? Every civilization started with a revelation from God. What?
There's a sense in which you have to live in a moment where we're.
I'm gonna let it. I'm not going back. I'm gonna let it go.
Right in the book of Revelation, you see it's.
I've seen and heard some shit. All right.
Saints that are waiting and waiting with anticipation. And
are you surprised that like just regular ass people and philosophers and like skeptics and just mostly like regular ass people were making fun of this guy on Twitter after this video came out?
I'm not surprised at all. If I had seen this before, I would have been right there with them making fun of this guy.
We have to take what is given and we have to make the most of it. And so that's one of the reasons why I to me, the best thing I can do is to take the Christian tradition and to be able to do what I can to make it as vibrant as I can and to make it as real.
Like with Demons.
And so it can help you understand why the strategy that I'm. It's not a strategy, but like why I live.
The word daemon might have a whole other meaning.
Yeah.
But there's a notion, and I see it in Dionysus. And
I'm sure it does, but I choose to believe that they're talking about Unix programs.
Oh no! Somebody in chat was asking if they used that word to troll religious people. I think there was probably another reason, but I don't know.
And you have to hear in this a profound kind of virtuosity and virtue, and this is in the key of a key thing in Taoism, right? Cultivating a kind of profound receptivity. There's a lot of ways in which we're.
Yeah, I think I'm like pretty sure their mics died because they've been talking for so long.
I'll use your language for now for hearing the revelation.
That is.
And so
that is exactly like if you had asked me before this show, hey, who do you think that we follow would talk for so long during an interview that their fucking microphone died? I'd be like, David Fuller.
What we can do about cultivating a deep and profound kind of receptivity that will become ability to respond when
whichever weirdo made their living room look like a coffee shop was like, you can't run a bunch of cables and shit in here. It will lose its motif. It won't look as good if we put a bunch of cables in here.
And then the response was, all right, but we got to keep it under 2 hours.
Like, nope.
The new insight, the new discovery.
At about the 2 hour point, the dude's going to talk about demons.
So I'm sure we could find loads of more topics and carry on talking for several more hours, but this was a fantastic conversation, really.
Was it, David? I don't think it. I mean, yeah, no, it took a while.
Thanks for facilitating it. Thanks for making it possible. Like, John, it's been great to have real.
Yeah.
These people sadly are not embodied with us right now, but we definitely have been.
Wait a minute! Now their mics are hooked back up again. You hear it?
Taking all the advantage of actually being in the same space and seeing that.
It's just this guy. I think he has a friendly demon that's keeping his mic working.
I want to say thank to both of you. Like the thing I was feeling to.
Wait, is this all like cranked up from his mic?
Maybe.
When you share about the work that you're doing, both of you, I feel like there's a real sense of like congruence.
Your suffering hasn't ended, but your suffering with this has ended. Yes. But the suffering of this channel has not ended.
So,
Athena.
to meet you in person for the first time properly.
Yeah.
And John, always.
Well, thank you, David. This has been wonderful.
They only
has
have.
It been wonderful though?
They only have
the guy that you were shooting eyes at earlier just told you he believes in literal demons.
They literally only have 50 seconds with which to talk about how great it was that they were able to have this conversation. And I think that's just because the cameras eventually ran out of batteries.
The dynamic living spirit of it has been fantastic. And again, it's always, it's a joy to talk to Jonathan. And so I do think that to use the metaphor, I hear the first notes.
Literally, this guy, it's going to just cut off. Watch.
When the logos really takes over and we're following it rather than just saying what we want to say, that's where I start to get.
I know that you haven't been able to say what you want to say about the other John during this. I understand.
First sort of clarity of notes from the horizon. And so it's always a privilege to do that. And I hope that what
some say love
can start to hear.
It is a river. Yeah, see, it just cuts off. Like
it really did. Do you think the camera actually died right then?
They just ran out of enough fucking shit where they, like, I don't know, maybe fucking the fucking demon guy's Daemon for his microphone just fucking ended. I don't fucking know,
like
man.
that's when the other microphone died.
Oh my fucking
I
God.
could totally see that. Like David and the professor guy, like their microphone died around the same time. And then the fucking demon guy's microphone lasted a little bit longer. So they almost made it to
because
the
he had a beneficial fucking demon in the goddamn battery.
Fuck, that was great.